Good morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Monday. It is the 14th day of March, 2022. I hope you had a good, enjoyable weekend. I hope you had a safe and healthy weekend. I hope that today, the needs of you and your family in terms of food and shelter and clothing as well as health are being met. Blessings upon those that work in the healthcare field and the first responders who spent the whole weekend trying to save lives, and those that pick up garbage for us to keep the streets and sidewalks clean. Blessings upon those that make deliveries for our convenience, and double blessings upon the men and women that are trying to help rescue, deliver boys and girls, men and women and children who are victims of child molestation, pedophilia, pornography, child pornography, prostitution, child prostitution, sex slavery, and human trafficking, and are trying to arrest the perpetrators, the profiteers, and the perverts who traffic in this human misery on a daily basis in every state of the United States and around the world. Double curses on them. Finally, blessings upon those that are homeless. Nearly 600,000 men, women, and children living on the streets of the United States of America with no roof over their head, many of them in horrible conditions, in mental and physical conditions. And they are worse. There are millions around the world in worse conditions. Blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom. There was a basketball game yesterday in Brooklyn. The New York Knicks lost this basketball game in fashion that we've seen too many times this year. 110-107 against the Brooklyn Nets with no Kyrie Irving, no Ben Simmons. Then I hear a lot of people making suggestions about what they think is wrong with the Knicks. And a lot of the suggestions I find frustrating to listen to, quite frankly. And the reason is because everybody, like for example, I'm hearing a lot of, we need a star player. We need a star. We need a star. We need a star. And that, with all of the years of me being a Knicks fan, that is a repeat, a rewash of somebody come save the Knicks. I can't stand that. It's short-sighted, it's impatient, and quite frankly, it's stupid. Again, the Knicks should be looking to build a long-term, sustainable winner. How does that happen? Let's talk about, again, how a long-term, sustainable winner is built on the NBA level. It doesn't take rocket science because we've seen it. It's not like we're making this stuff up. We've seen it. What do? You draft well. Okay? You draft well. That's the first thing. You scout well before that. You scout well. Then you draft well. Then you develop well. Let's go over that again. You scout well. You draft well. Then you develop well. And once you have a stable of young talent that you are developing, that starts to push for playoff position, even in the lowest level, they start to push for the play-in. They start to push for the 8th seed. And this takes 3 or 4 seasons. Then they're pushing and getting into the 8th seed and pushing for higher, but just can't get there. That's when a star player comes. Okay? The Knicks have not even allowed themselves to do that. Okay? Last year was the first year of the rebuild. And that's what was needed from the beginning, before Tom Thibodeau got here, was a rebuild. So they drafted Mitchell Robinson as a project in the second round. He has turned into an NBA player on a high level. Second in the league in offensive rebounds. In the top 5 in blocks. One of the best defenders in the NBA. Right now. We, the Knicks, have developed him into that. And he's going to get better. He's only 23. RJ Barrett has turned into a legit starter in the NBA, capable of getting you 40 points on a given night. And he's only 21. Last year, before that, they drafted Emmanuel Quickley and Obi Toppin. Last year, they drafted Quentin Grimes, Deuce McBride, and Jericho Sims. You're in the second year of this rebuild. And what's messing the Knicks up and messing a lot, obviously, fans up, is they're thinking, well, we got to win it all today. We should win it all now. And why are we not winning it all? We need somebody to come and save us. We need a star. Oh, maybe we can get Donovan Mitchell. Maybe we can get Anthony Davis. Maybe we can get the next superstar that's available. Maybe Kawhi will come. And then the NBA 2K mentality is jumping on the Knicks with the Knicks fan base. And then you got the media, oh, the Knicks are terrible. We're in year two of a rebuild. And what's messing us up is the mentality we have to win everything now. And that's what's messing us up is Tom Thibodeau is coaching like that. And so then you get the narrative. And this is like the word Babylon means confusion. And this is the Babylon confusion. So we're in year two of a rebuild. We drafted a point guard. We drafted one, okay? They pushed and got IQ, who's not a point guard, who wasn't a point guard at Kentucky. And he's not a point guard now, okay? And then they got a point guard in Deuce McBride in the second round in the draft that was stacked with point guard. And then decide not to play him. And now you're 7-2 when this kid plays 20 minutes or more. In a season when you're 28 and 40, you're 7-2 when this guy you drafted plays at least 20 minutes. You keep losing games because you cannot get stops at the end. And the two best defenders you got is Mitchell Robinson and Deuce McBride. Yesterday, all of the starters were negative because they lost the game, obviously. But then you get Jericho Sims, Obi Toppin, Deuce McBride, and Quickley. Quickley +3. And Quickley did not play well yesterday. Quickley hasn't been playing well for most of the season. If you want to be real about it, yesterday he was 2 of 10 and 0 of 5 from the 3-point line. Yes, he had 7 rebounds and he had 4 assists. Okay. But he's shooting too much and he ain't making nothing. Reminds me of John Starks in the finals against Houston. 1 for 21. Starks used to have some streaky games. He'd be good sometimes. Sometimes he would really be good. And always good on defense. Quickley ain't Starks. I wish he was. But he's got potential to be because he's only like 21, 22 years old. Okay? He's a young piece. But he was +3. McBride didn't even score. And if you watch the game, they freeze him out when he's on the floor. And a couple of times he did get to run the point. He got 2 assists, both to Obi Toppin, who we'll talk about in a second. +13. And lockdown defense, like nobody on the Knicks could do. Especially from the guard position. There's no lockdown defenders there. Then Obi Toppin, +7. 2 of 3 from the 3-point line, 3 of 5 from the field. He only played 8 minutes. Then you had Jericho Sims. He did a tremendous job. But some of y'all, again, listen, if you think Jericho Sims is better than Mitchell Robinson, you need your skull examined. Jericho Sims is up and coming. Yes, he is. He's a rookie, and he's going to be pretty good. He is. But come on, don't get carried away. What are we paying Mitchell Robinson $12 million for? You paying him $12 million because he can get you 21 rebounds in a game. He can get you 5 blocks in a game. He runs the floor. He guards the toughest 5s in the league. That's why. And he really needs $14 million, in my opinion. He's a championship piece in the second year of a rebuild. Okay? But Jericho Sims was good. He was. He was hustling. And I loved how he used his athleticism yesterday. The way his athleticism was used and exhibited yesterday was on offensive rebounds. He was getting some, how many did he get? He had 3. Seemed like he had more. He had 3 offensive rebounds. But then When he was on the floor, he would sprint out to double Kevin Durant and make Durant give up the rock. Right? That was tremendous. You think that's nothing? No, that wasn't nothing. If they'd have kept him in the game to do that, we might have won the game. That was the strategy. That was one of the few times this year Thibodeau employed a strategy that makes sense. In other words, you get the ball out of the hot hand of the other team. Get the ball out of his hand. Especially you don't have Kyrie Irving on the floor. Make somebody else beat you. And for a couple minutes they were doing that and they were making a run. But then he took out Sims. Sims is plus 20. Alec Burks. 2 of 9 from the field. 0 of 1 from 3. He plays 36 minutes. He's minus 14. Yes, he had 7 assists. He's minus 14. Because he could not defend. Okay? So, you're trying to win now. With this guy at the point, you're playing him 36 minutes. You play quickly 25 minutes, and McBride gets 11 minutes. Your best defender. And you're 7-2 when McBride plays 20 minutes or more. It's frustrating to watch. And I guess what it is that there's this temptation to keep thinking, oh, we're almost there. We're close. We're toe to toe with the Nets. We're toe to toe with Phoenix. We're toe to toe with Philly. But check this out. They were blowing teams out over the 3-game win streak. They weren't just toe to toe with the Clippers. They were beating them down. Of course, they did the same thing to Sacramento, which you expect. But of course, we have lost to Sacramento trying this win now strategy. But then they go into Dallas, who proceeded to keep winning after the Knicks came in there and laid the beat down on them. With Luka Doncic and Brunson now, who everybody said we got to get his point guard put on lock by McBride. Put on lock. So, from this point, it's on Leon Rose. It's on Leon Rose right now. Okay, it's obvious. Thibodeau's not going to do what needs to be done to bring this team to the next level. He's not going to do that. I know he's a good coach. I like him. I really do. But his Achilles heels are hurting us right now, which is he's got to play all his veterans, regardless of who his young players are. He keeps doing the same thing. And the thing that really made me mad this time, listening to him after the game, talking about, we didn't make the stops when we needed to. And he did not have the players on the floor. What, you going to make stops with Fournier? I know Fournier was hot yesterday. He scored 25. He was shooting the ball very well. Bring him off the bench. And in the fourth quarter, you need stops. Kevin Durant killed you. You need stops. And the problem with a non-defensive unit like he had on the floor at the close of the game yesterday, with Fournier and Burks as your weak links yesterday. Okay? And truth be told, Barrett wasn't playing good defense yesterday either. All right? When you have that on the floor against a Kevin Durant, this is what will happen now. They'll play good defense. It's a 24-second clock. They'll play good defense for about 15 seconds. And so Durant will give up the rock at the initial double, move to another spot, and this is where you're weak on defense because those guys that gave the effort to get the ball out of his hand the first time will not give the effort to get the ball out of his hand the second time, and he scores. And it could be Durant, it could be, Cam Johnson, it could be, the kid from LSU that was on their bench yesterday, it could be anybody. But that's what they do. Play defense for about half of the 24 seconds versus playing defense for 24 seconds and making them reluctant to catch the ball the next time down the floor because they're so heavy on lock. No, this is on Leon. Changes have to be made. And the problem is not the players. It's The Knicks management have to choose a direction. And they have to go strong in that direction. In other words, either come hard or don't come at all. That's what you got to do, especially you in New York. You got to come hard or don't come. Don't bring it at all. You know? And what do I mean by that? If you're going to go for win now, trade your young players and get your veterans and go for win now, which would be stupid because you've been doing that for 30 years. Or if you're going to develop your young players, trade your veterans and go hard with the young players. Go hard and develop your youth and take the 2 seasons now that you're going to need to get them pushing for the playoff spot. And unfortunately, the Knicks are in a very unusual position. I mentioned it over the weekend where their young players, for the most part, are better than their veterans. So like they went on a 3-game winning streak playing the young guys. And imagine if Cam Reddish was still healthy, you know? So Leon's got to make some decisions. He's got to make some decisions. Okay? This game we lost yesterday, it could have been any of the 40 games we lost this year because pretty much it's been the same story. Okay? The veteran players are not good enough to bring it home because we're not built to win now. The Knicks are not built that way. Let's just be honest. They're not built to win now. And so the expectation of winning now is just going to frustrate everybody because they're not built for that right now. This is year 2 of a rebuild. And you got a bunch of veteran players that should be on a rebuilding team, but not playing the frontline roles, the role on those rebuilding teams. They should be playing behind some young kids. Okay? So, right now, it's only 15 games left in the season. And right now, we're in a worst case scenario. And what do I mean by that? We're in a worst case scenario in that we're losing games playing veterans and wasting time not developing youth in a losing season. That's the worst case scenario. If we were losing these games, okay, and your backcourt was Quickly and McBride, and they were getting 25 minutes a game, right? And we're giving Obi Toppin, 20 minutes a game. And we're getting Jericho Sims 23 minutes a game. And we're losing. We could all live with that. You know why? Because we're focusing on the future. But these guys, with Deuce getting 11 minutes, Toppin getting 8 minutes, and then you giving 36 minutes to Burke. And Fournier get 34, and Barrett, who's already struggling right now, I believe he must be tired. He got 42 minutes yesterday. Okay? 8 for 21, 1 for 5 from the field, 7 of 8 from the free throw line. He's gotten better there, including the one he's supposed to miss. 24 points. I'm not worried about him long term as an all-star level player, but you got to really recognize when he don't have it going. And you got young players that do have it going. So Leon's got to make decisions. Now we saw they were in LA a week ago. HR was in LA talking to Tom Thibodeau, and all of a sudden Deuce McBride comes out of that meeting and he plays 20 minutes the next 3 games. And they win the next 3 games. And then we saw the minutes cut and they lose 2 in a row. Okay? And I've read people talk about he must have done something like Deuce must have messed up in practice or something because his minutes been cut. Oh no, he just may not be ready. Come on, man, stop. He just showed you. You play him 20 minutes, you win. So let me just tell you this. Let's just break it down to the very simple fact. As long as Thibodeau comes out with this foolishness that Burks is his best point guard and he keeps playing him 30 minutes and he keeps Deuce less than 20, the Knicks are going to lose most of those games. They're going to maybe lose all of them. They're going to lose a lot of games. A lot more. Okay? When somebody talks to his stupid behind and tell him, take Burks out of there. Please, now. And he does it, and he's going to play his grandson Quickly, and then Quickly's going to go 1 for 15. He's going to say Quickly had a great game because he hit that 1-3, right? But he's going to play Deuce McBride 20 minutes plus or more, play Obi Toppin 20 minutes plus or more. You'll win some of these games. You might win most of these games, remaining games. Or they can continue to waste time losing this season with veterans. That's really what it comes down to. So here, let me tell you this again. If he continues to start Alec Burks at point guard, we're going to continue to lose. Especially you combine that starting out of position point guard with a guy you got at point guard that can defend that you're playing less than 20 minutes. The Knicks are going to continue to lose these games. Okay? They're going to fight, because then they haven't tuned Thibodeau out. That's what, if you're seeing him fight in the fourth quarter for a win, they haven't tuned the coach out, because the sign that the coach has lost the locker room is an apathy that causes them to get blown out. That's what you'll see if he had lost the locker room. He hasn't lost the locker room. He hasn't. And while he hasn't, they should be pushing, because look, Joku Bidas is the first crack in this armor. What do I mean? Joku Bidas just, everybody knows now, I ain't coming there. Why? Because I won't play. He's not going to play on the developing team. I'll stay here in Europe and get minutes. Next year too. Okay? Next shoe to drop is Mitchell Robinson. Dallas wants him. Detroit wants him. There's several teams that want him. I didn't realize until this past weekend that he spent a whole year living in Dallas just to see if he liked it. He's from New Orleans area. He's from Louisiana. I'm sure they want him. And the Knicks wasting time signing him. And if you think that Jericho Sims just going to show up and that's it, okay. You could think that if you want to. It took us 3 years to develop Mitchell Robinson. We would have just wasted 3 years and let him be a star on another team with our development. Okay? Winning teams don't do that. That's the next shoe to drop. He may have already decided, I'm going to check out the market, and if I can get at least as good a deal on another team like a Dallas, I'm leaving. That's the next shoe to drop. Because he's running up and down the court like he's on a treadmill, and they do not look for him. They don't look for him. If he gets the ball, it's off of the offensive boards that he gets himself. Okay? And don't let him develop like I think he's going to this summer, a short jump shot. He's going to do that. And when he does, and you're going to say, oh man, I wish he did that before. You're stupid. It's his fourth season. He's 23. Anyway, this is not looking good. And I'm not just talking about the record. I'm talking about everything we talked about in this video. It's not looking good. You're losing with veterans. You're frustrating your young players so that one is deciding not to come. You drafted him and he's over there in Europe and he said, I'm not coming there. I won't play. And now Mitchell Robinson, you drafted him, you developed him, and he ain't signed an extension yet. And teams are already putting it out there. Yeah, Dallas wants him. New Orleans wants him. Detroit wants him. And why would they trade? That rumor came out there that the Knicks turned down a trade for Isaiah Stewart, which would have been dumb trade. But no, that's out there because why would Detroit or New Orleans or Dallas or any team that wants Mitchell Robinson, why would they give up assets at the trade deadline for a guy that's going to be an unrestricted free agent on a losing team in just a few months? We might lose Mitchell Robinson, but we could keep him if these last 15 games, you change this lineup. You start your young guards who would look for him. Okay? You could keep him. To me, that's a key here. But if they don't, they would have wasted this season. They're going to lose Mitchell Robinson. Okay? And then I don't know what Leon. This is on Leon. See, Thibs could want whatever he wants. He could desire whatever he wants. But Leon is the power. Leon's the power here. So Leon could tell Thibs, this is what we're going to do. And Thibs either fall in line or get out. That's the way this game works when you're in the NBA. because this is money here. And so you got to have a strategy, which I assumed, and maybe incorrectly, from year one, they were trying to build on the youth that they so excellently picked. The Knicks have done very well in the draft. Again, you got a Quentin Grimes, a Emmanuel Quickly, a Deuce McBride, a Obi Toppin, R.J. Barrett, Mitchell Robinson. Then you went and you traded Kevin Knox and flipped him for a Cam Reddish. You did really good. Now, what you gonna do with all this talent you got? Sit it behind Alec Burks, Evan Fournier, Taj Gibson? What are you doing? What are you doing? Okay, what direction are you going? This next 15 games is gonna show us a lot. I thought they were turning the corner when they won the three-game win streak. I didn't think Tom Thibodeau was stupid enough to go back to what it was losing before, but he did. That, oh my gosh, Anyway, we're going to see. Now, the next game, they play, it almost doesn't matter. They play Portland Wednesday night at 7:30. Then Friday, they got Washington. Here, let me repeat what's been said all season. These are two winnable games. It's up to the Knicks to decide whether they're going to win them. Okay, really? Are we going to continue to beat ourselves with the same lineup? We have now, today is Monday, so we have Monday and Tuesday. The game is at home, so we have Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday for Leon and Worldwide West and Allen Houston and Scott Perry to fix this. If you want to salvage this season in terms of a rebuild year, you have a couple of days to make some decisions. Because if you don't, I'm gonna be honest with you. I love Leon Ryan. I'm the one come up with the Don. I told him. I said he's the Don. The way he put together some of them trades and some of them picks. But you know what? If he's not gonna step up and show the gonads to make some decisions here, bye. You in New York, man. You better step up, and make some decisions, show a direction. I'm not even, Thibs is irrelevant right now. It's Leon. This is Leon. Okay? So we're going to see what happening. We're going to see what happening right now. Okay? It ain't got nothing to do with we need a star to save us. Unless you go ahead and trade all the youth and get one. Now you got a veteran team. You might make a playoff round, maybe a second round, and you lose. That's what happened when they got Carmelo. Okay? But otherwise, forget it. And you'll get ticket sales because there's no way to be in the playoffs like New York City is at Madison Square Garden, even with a round or two. But if you want to win long term, you got to make a decision. You got one way or the other. Do something. But doing what you're doing now, it's not working. And you're getting the worst case scenario right now. Worst case. No development and no wins from the veterans. Okay? So, I hate to be so somber, but it is what it is, y'all. Have a good Monday. Woo, man. It's my daughter's birthday. We had a little get together yesterday. That was really a highlight of my weekend because these Knicks will frustrate you to death, man. But anyway, y'all have a good Monday. Be safe out there. Shalom.